Ramadan of Shaykh Mohammed Zakariya rahmatullahi alayh and the pious predecessors. And alhamdulillah, up to last week, we had come up till the Ramadan of Shaykh Zakariya rahmatullahi alayh from the year 1975, which we will begin today, inshallah. So without further ado, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. The Ramadan of 1975. This Ramadan was unique in many ways. The public and number of visiting scholars and employees of the Madaris was significantly larger, and the gathering of this Ramadan had received the blessings of a great many of the Shaykhs. Approximately 1,000 people were present from the beginning of Ramadan, and like the previous years, the numbers continued to swell until the very end. On the 27th night of Ramadan, there were an estimated 2,700 people. Because of the crowd, both levels of the masjid and both the covered and uncovered areas of the courtyard had reached full capacity. As a result, it was difficult to go for ablution and to the bathroom from the place of i'tikaf. On this night, some people observed an estimated 27 huffaz deeply engrossed in the recitation of Quran, and rows upon rows standing behind them, seeking the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and refuge from the hellfire. One of these huffaz can never be forgotten. He was engrossed in salah. He was trembling, shaking, and crying, and his humbleness was clearly evident in his recitation. As the Shaykh rahmatullah himself has written the schedule of programs for this Ramadan in his autobiography, Ab Biti. He writes, 2 parts of the Quran after Maghrib, then tea, attending to personal needs, then gathering from 8 p.m. 8:30 p.m. includes bay'ah and discussion, Isha and Tarawih from 9 p.m. to 10:30, followed by Surah Yasin and Dua, Fadail of Ramadan, Hadith the Ta'aleem of the Fadail of Ramadan, Hadith until 11:15 p.m. Then shaking hands with the departees. Door is closed from 12 a.m. to 3 a.m. and reopened at 3 a.m. and suhoor is presented and prepared. And 2 parts of the Quran are recited in Tahajjud, rest after Fajr until 9 a.m. After rest, recitation of 2 more parts of the Quran until 11 a.m. From 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. miscellaneous. After Dhuhr, Khatmi Khajgan, Dhikr and recitation of 2 parts of the Quran. After Asr, Ta'aleem from Irshad al-Muluk and Ikmal al-Shiyam. Shaykh Sayyid Abul Hasan Ali al-Nadwi rahmatullahi alayhi writes, from 1385, Shaykh Zakariya rahmatullahi alayhi began spending his Ramadan in the new complex, the Dar-e-Jadid of the students' dormitories in Madahir Ulum Saharanpur. Every year, the number of guests increased. In 1965, there were 40 guests for i'tikaf, increasing to 200 by the end of the month. Whereas in the Ramadan of 1386, i.e. 1966-1967, the number of people started at 200. And in 1967, canopies were pitched in the courtyard and the student dormitories were open for the arriving guests. The Ramadan of 1974, which was also in Saharanpur, by this time, the second story of the masjid in the students' dormitories had been constructed. When more space was required, the dormitories were open to accommodate the guests. The first of Ramadan began with an estimated 800-900 people. Shaykh Nasir ad-Din reported that by the end of the month, the number exceeded 1,800. But a more accurate count is about 1,000 in the first 10 days and approximately 2,000 on the 27th and 28th of Ramadan. The program was as follows. A talk for approximately 1 hour which began at 11 a.m. Khatmi Khajgan, followed by the gathering of dhikr from Dhuhr till Asr, the reading of Ikmal al-Shiyam and Irshad al-Muluk from Asr, an hour of voluntary nafil salah after Maghrib, then dinner, meeting newcomers and locals until the adhan of Isha. Shaykh Zakariya stayed in the masjid for many days after Eid in order to meet the large number of people who had come for i'tikaf, as everyone wished to meet him. The Shaykh writes of the first day of Shawwal 1974. I guess that there were about 50 to 100 people left behind based on the number of people who came to meet me. But I later learned that over 500 people stayed for 1 or 2 more days. The guests and people in i'tikaf were devoting all their time in worship, dhikr, recitation of Quran and their prescribed devotions. But Shaykh Zakariya still announced in his Ramadan at Saharanpur, sleep and eat as much as you like, but do not talk. Otherwise, you will be deprived of the blessings of this month. Even then, he was always concerned with where the people were making the most of their time and spending it wisely. Sometimes he self-deprecatingly called it a festival. In his letter to me, I, Dr. Ismail Mehman, dated the February 24th, 1976, he writes, "You are probably aware that for years I have been asking Maulana Munawwar Hussain and Mufti Mahmud Al-Hassan Gangohi and close friends whether there is more benefit or harm in this which is becoming like a festival, ma'adallah." The Ramadan of 1976. This year, a state of emergency was declared in the country of India. There was terror in the streets, and young and old men were scared of being sterilized. This was due to a government initiative to sterilize Indian males as a birth control to control the population, though Muslims were targeted the most during this period. Despite the situation, many people still came for Ramadan and enjoyed the blessings and rahmah of this month under the auspicious guidance of Shaykh Zakariya rahmatullahi alayh. The program of this Ramadan is taken from Hazrat's personal diary. He writes, "After Maghrib, one part of the Quran recited in Nafil Salah. My talk in gathering replaced by the reading of Sufi Iqbal's Akabir Ka Suluk due to weakness. Bay'ah after gathering until the Adhan of Isha. Tarawih Salah from 9:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. Doors are closed after Tarawih at midnight. The reading session of Fadail al-Ramadan after Tarawih was cancelled this year because of a law that permitted the authorities to seize any man found after 11:30 p.m. to be sterilized. This law has been in force for the past year. Muslims are distraught and are facing the repercussions of their bad deeds. Therefore, the following was announced after Tarawih. All locals, please leave immediately. You have already sat in the reading session of this book and don't want the police to harass you. Fadail Ramadan was read until midnight. Meeting with people until 1 p.m. after resting from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Everyone wakes up for tahajjud about 2:30 a.m. Then for suhoor. After suhoor and attending to their personal needs, they recite Quran until 4 a.m. Tahajjud and attending to personal needs until 4 a.m. Because of weakness, I only recited one part of the Quran instead of two parts, which I completed with great difficulty. Suhoor I had at 4 a.m. and Fajr Salah was performed immediately after dawn. I would meet the newcomers and then I would rest till 9 a.m. Then say one part of the Quran to someone instead of reciting it, looking in the Quran, as was Shaykh's habit in the previous Ramadan. So in this Ramadan, he would read it by heart to someone and someone would listen to his Quran. Then pre-noon Salah, Salat al-Haja, Tahiyyat al-Shukr until 11. Then rest from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Read one part of the Quran in the Sunan. Then after Dhuhr Salah, Khatm al-Khajgal. This year, the one part he recited, Shaykh Zakariya recited to various people in the previous Ramadan was cancelled. Though, he writes, though I recited to Maulana Ahmed after Dhuhr, sometimes I was forced to stop after a short while. Gathering of dhikr would take place at 4:30 p.m. Adhan of Asr, then Asr at 5:30 p.m. After Asr, the reading session of Irshad al-Muluk would take place until Iftar. This year, Shaykh Ubaidullah Balyawi's talk was from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. As a result of the aforementioned situation in the country, we observed the number of people attending were fewer than the previous Ramadan. Everything else stayed the same. The next one is the Ramadan of 1977. 1397 Hijri. This Ramadan was also spent in Saharanpur. There were more people than in the previous year, and the daily program was also the same as in the previous year. The following is an excerpt from Hazrat's diary. Due to dizziness, I could not recite the Quran after Maghrib. Other daily devotions were about the same as in the previous years, of Tahiyyat al-Shukr, Salat al-Haja, and different awrad, and such as reading the Hizb al-Bahr and other ma'mulat. Tea only. I was unable to eat anything due to sickness. After dinner, public gathering from 8:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. Bay'ah was also performed at this time. Adhan would take place at 9 p.m. Tarawih would be led by Maulana Salman from 9:30 p.m. to 10:45 p.m. followed by the reading of Akabir Ka Ramadhan up till 11:30 p.m. Doors closed from 12:30 a.m. to 2:30 a.m. but opened half an hour early because of the large gathering. Rest after Fajr to 9 a.m. After 9 a.m., reciting any surah in pre-noon salah and the recitation of one part 2 times from the Quran. Then recite Surah Yasin 3 times and send the rewards to the elders, to the Akabir. Or meet with different people from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and rest from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Since the fever began from Monday, the 29th of Sha'ban, I could take no more than a cup of tea. Shaykh Zakariya, he only drank only a half a cup. And he would have 2 eggs daily throughout the day, throughout the month of Ramadan. Only 2 eggs. Guests began arriving from 2:30 a.m. to 4 a.m. After suhoor and tea, everything is wrapped up by 4:15 a.m. Shaykh Ubaidullah Balyawi gives the talk from 10 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. until he became sick also. Muhammad Inayat took over after him. After Dhuhr, Khatmi Wajgan, and then Dhuhr, Dhikr Majlis. After Asr, Akabir Ka Suluk, and then Irshad al-Muluk, and then Ikmal al-Shiyam. These are the 3 books that were read in the Ta'aleem sessions after Asr. After Taraweeh, there will be Ta'aleem of Akabir Ka Ramadan, and then after that, Fadail Ramadan. Then there will be a talk by Muhammad Inayah from 10 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Shaykh Balyawi gave the talks the previous Ramadan, but fell sick. Shaykh Abdul Halim took his place, but was later dismissed when he became overzealous and started criticizing the madaris and the spiritual hubs. This year, I could neither recite much Quran nor say it to anyone because of dizziness. I finished 2 Qurans reciting by looking inside the Quran. The gatherings from Maghrib to the Adhan of Isha was cancelled, but for discussions and meetings with the scholars regarding different methods of increasing funds for the madaris and exhorting them to eliminate hostilities amongst themselves. This excerpt informs us of other devotions of Hazrat Shaykh Zakariya that have not previously been mentioned in this book or in his Abidi. Then we come back to the Ramadan of 1979. This was the last Ramadan of Hazrat Shaykh Zakariya rahmatullahi in Saharanpur. The programs and devotions were the same as in the previous year. The next chapter we will continue in the next session, inshallah, after we will have a short break for the ads that we have, and after that, inshallah, we will continue with the session of the chapter 7, reading from the Ramadan of Shaykh Zakariya rahmatullahi alayhi in Haramain Sharifain. So inshallah, see you after the break. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.